Hi everyone, Chalin here, and welcome to Season 9. Today is January 9th, and if it's Friday, then this is the Delve. I want to start today with a memory. 5 years ago, in the middle of the pandemic, I sat down to record a conversation with a Venezuelan who had just fled the country. For his safety, we changed his name. We'll call him Jesús. Before we hit record, I asked him something simple. If this goes out, are you sure you're okay talking about this? He paused. Then he said something I've never forgotten. The least I can do is tell the truth about what happened there. What Jesús described wasn't abstract authoritarianism. It was daily life under Nicolás Maduro. Blackouts, empty shelves, friends disappearing into exile, and the constant sense that the walls were closing in while the world stopped paying attention. Since then, nearly 9 million Venezuelans have left their country. 9 million. That's almost the population of New York City. And yet, the loudest reaction to the recent US engagement around Maduro has mostly been tweets about oil. It was always about oil. America just wants the barrels. Another imperialist intervention. Now, let's be grown-ups. Of course, energy is part of the calculus. States act with incentives. But Russia, China, and Iran weren't in Venezuela for the recipe for arepas.
La receta de la arepa, imposible.
Here's the question that actually matters, the one I can't shake. What do we owe people who have lived under sustained political terror when every nonviolent tool has failed? Because that's what Jesús was describing back in 2020. A place where dialogue had been tried again and again, while repression only intensified. A place where international statements piled up and nothing changed on the ground. And now, after this latest operation, millions of Venezuelans are celebrating in the streets, across the diaspora. Meanwhile, some of the loudest voices in the West, many of them self-described progressives, are scolding them from afar. They say, this is illegal. We must respect sovereignty. We need negotiations, not force. And I'll be honest with you, it's that gap that scares me. Because when liberalism becomes so obsessed with moral cleanliness that it can't recognize the relief, the joy even, of people who have just watched an abuser finally lose his grip on power, something breaks. And I'm nervous because people, maybe they won't move toward a better alternative. Maybe they just walk away into cynicism. Now, I think we should be clear. This episode, I'm not trying to give a blank check for Washington. If you topple or prosecute an authoritarian, there are obligations, real legal footing, protection of civilians, and a transition that is Venezuelan-led. Not a new form of control by another name. But it's also not an episode where we pretend that one more round of talks would have magically fixed this. At a certain point, endless restraint stops being printable and starts being abdication. So today, to cheerfully open Season 9, we're going to do something geopolitics rarely allows us to do. We're going to listen to someone who actually lived it. You'll hear my 2020 conversation with Jesús, a Venezuelan who left home under Maduro, and he has since returned. Think of this interview as a time capsule, a snapshot of what life felt like inside Venezuela while the world argued on Twitter. And as you listen, I want you to hold two truths at once. Yes, countries act in their own interests. And yes, sometimes those interests collide with something undeniably good. A people getting a real chance at their country back. My guest today is Jesús. He grew up in Venezuela, watched the country unravel under Maduro, and eventually made the painful decision to leave. When we first spoke in 2020, he was in exile, trying to rebuild a life while carrying the guilt and grief of walking away from home. Since that conversation, Jesús has returned to Venezuela. He told us he's cautiously optimistic, but still not comfortable speaking publicly. So today, we're going back to that original interview because it captures what headlines never do. What authoritarianism feels like from the inside. Here's my conversation with Jesús. Jesús, how are you? How are you doing?
Hey, all good, all good. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Thanks for being here. You left Venezuela recently.
I left it like 1 year and a half, maybe.
Okay. And how did it get so bad? What was the point where you knew you had to leave?
Wow, that's a full story though. That's like a super long story. Okay. Yeah, so
Let's maybe get to the moment that it hit you. Like, what was the position you were in where you're like, okay,
yeah.
I really need to get out of this place?
Okay. Yeah, so I was working like in a bank,
Yeah.
in a super famous bank in Venezuela.
Sure.
So, I was working at the same position my mom was working like 20 years ago.
Sure.
She actually still's working there though.
Okay.
Like, she's still working there. She's been like 35 years working there.
Yeah.
And it's been crazy. So when she was working, at the time she was working, she could afford like crazy things like apartments, like cars.
Those aren't so crazy.
Well, for you.
Those are kind of like what one would hope that they could afford when working.
Yeah, exactly. And so when I got there, when I was like, oh yeah, I'm in the same position as my mom. Oh, woo. I just was like, no, like you need to be aware that the salary here is just like $4 or $5 per month, and we're just gonna give you like a can of food like every month.
So when we talk about like the differences, the 20 years in differences from when your mom was in this position and when you're in this position, your purchase power dropped dramatically. Your mom could buy a house.
Yes, my mom could buy a house, and I was like,
could
do nothing. I mean, when I started working the first month, I remember I got my first payment, and it was like, okay, so I will buy this pair of shoes this day, but the day after it was like, oh my God, they are so expensive. I can't afford them, you know?
Right.
So it was like the price went up just from a day to another.
Yeah.
It was just insane how the prices went just up out of no reason, you know?
It's kind of incredible to think about your mother being in that same position, being able to buy a house.
Yeah.
And then you 20 years later come into this position.
Yeah.
And it's like, guys, I'm just trying to buy some shoes.
Exactly.
And that had to have been like really, really tough.
Yeah, that was I saw that whole situation there, and I was like, wow, I need to go out of here. I need to go out of here. So that's when I decided to move from Venezuela to another country.
And so this was a government job.
Yeah.
Not everyone in Venezuela is employed by the government.
Not all of them. I don't think so.
There's like a significant private sector where someone who wants to work outside the government, they can. If that job is available.
Yeah, of course. There are like a lot of private companies there.
Yeah.
Like I used to work in Panasonic though. And I remember that I worked like there like a year and a half maybe. And I work a lot. So I used to earn nothing. I used to like oh yeah, I earn this every month just to like to help my family, but I can't like do what I want, like to swim or like to go build my own company or like all of that. It was just for food, practically, you know?
There's a lot of stories that we hear out of Venezuela that they're just lacking everything. What are the conditions for families in Venezuela like right now?
Well, families in Venezuela, they are just like living from a box of food.
Every family.
Every family gets a box of food out of the government every month.
And that box has to last them the entire month.
Yeah, practically.
What if, like, the box of food you get, you're, like, allergic to it or something in it?
It's hard to find medicine. Yeah, it's super hard to find medicine there. Well, you can find it, but the problem starts if you have the money to buy it.
Yeah.
You know, because it's too expensive.
Can you send that box back?
No,
You have that box.
you have to
Whether
buy
you're
it.
allergic to it or not.
Exactly. Yeah.
And is the box the same for, like, everyone in the country?
Maybe like if you have some special treatments from the government, yeah, you can get a better box with better products. Maybe
Right.
you know.
So everyone in Venezuela right now is getting a box of food from the government.
Yeah, totally.
Is it a big box?
It depends. It depends on which position you are or which position you're in, like in which level.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. This is a little crazy.
Yeah.
There are people in Venezuela right now getting a box of everyone is getting a box of food from the government.
Yeah.
And they're voting repeatedly for this government to continue getting a box of food from the government.
Yeah, because they think food is everything for them.
Like, yeah, I never knew that. I don't think anyone who's going to listen to this interview has ever known that.
Really? Oh my god.
Oh, no. Oh my god. And to know that perhaps the boxes are different sizes and there's different quality of food.
Different sizes, different qualities. I remember once I got a box with food, with second-hand Mexican food.
What does that even mean?
That means that it was a bad food from Mexico.
Really? So every month it's not the same.
It depends on from where you receive them.
What's that mean?
That means that if you work for
A certain organization or
Yeah,
company
exactly.
or business. Okay. What if you have no connection to the government? What if you're just like a family and you're just like, is that even possible to not?
It depends because if you work in a private company, maybe you get some treats from them.
You get a box from the company.
Yeah, but it just depends on the general manager, you know.
Yeah.
And I don't know. He has to be a good person to give you a good box.
So if you don't work for the government,
Yeah.
you're not going to get a box from the government?
No.
So what if you don't work at all? What if you're just unemployed? What if you can't get a job anywhere? Where do you get, do you get a box at all or are you just left to starve?
Well, the government has this thing that the government, it just asks you like, okay, so you live in a family with 2 people or 3 people and they give you like a box or 2. Depends on how your family is elaborated.
Like the size of your family.
Yeah.
How easy is it to leave Venezuela? This episode of The Delve is produced on Chalin, the AI platform my team and I built to power shows just like this one. If you make a podcast and you're tired of juggling editing tools, noisy audio, and scattered files, Chalin brings everything into one place. It cleans up your sound, speeds up your edits, and helps your show run like a real studio operation. If you're a creator or producer, you can try it at chalinai.com. That's chalinai.com.
It depends. because you have to meet a lot of people. You have to get into a lot of situations to get out of there. So it's just insane.
So it's not like the easiest place to get.
So maybe I don't know. Maybe it's different for me than it was for another person.
Sure.
Maybe another person was like, okay, so I have my company. It's almost broke. I have my company, and the situation is just like killing this company. So I'm just gonna take all my money and go. So I have all my things here, and the situation is just like starting
And
to
do it.
Yeah. So then just decide to leave. I'm a professional. I'm gonna just finish college, and I think that my future is not gonna be okay here. So I'm just gonna go elsewhere. You know?
Okay. 5 million people have left.
Yeah.
What does that do to a country, a city, when your neighbors are all leaving? What does that look like? Or do you have friends and you're like, maybe you go to their house one day and they're gone?
Yeah. Of course. Like 100%.
How does that affect you?
A lot. Like you see someone like every day of your life, and then they are like, be living here anymore. You know, I need to go. I need to go. I need to go because
I need
the situation is killing me. So they just decide to live in another country because the situation is killing them.
Yeah.
And then it's like, wow, I understand. I understand 100% what you're living. So yeah, I support you, and yeah, I wish you the best, and I want to always hear from you because you're my friend. So yeah,
Do you think if there was a change in the government, some of these folks would come back?
when you're away for too long, you just make your life, and you just meet a lot of people. You just know a lot of people, make a lot of friends, and
You
it's
start
like,
a new life.
yeah, you start a new life. Maybe you have in mind your old life. Maybe you come back like for a few years, but you actually made your life already in a whole other country. And it's different.
This might be kind of like a unfair question, but the majority of the folks that you know who've left Venezuela, where did they go?
Oh my God. Spain, Peru, Argentina, Colombia, Ecuador, the US. The people that I love the most are in Miami. So
There's been a huge
yeah,
community of Venezuelans in Miami.
yeah, actually,
Yeah,
and a lot of places though, all the world.
right.
Yeah,
Let's talk a little bit about salaries. You worked at a bank that your mother had worked at in the same position 20 years ago.
yeah,
And your salary was averaging between $4 to $5 a month. That's compared to the average salary in the United States monthly of about $3,300 a month.
yeah.
When you hear that difference, and then you hear the government tell you how bad America is, what do you think?
I just feel angry. I feel angry because I don't know. It's just like I feel like I can do so much with what you guys are earning from your salary, being a professional and being like a student, like a hard student. Like I used to study like so much for like 5 years, 6 or 7 years. And after that, I was just nothing for the companies. You know?
Yeah.
I was just earning $4, and I was just like, wow, but I don't deserve this because I studied like a lot. I was like working a lot for this, and now you're paying me this. It's not worth it, you know.
Right.
So It's just not fair for me.
How much does the government blame the U.S.? Do they blame the U.S. for everything?
Yeah, practically.
Nothing
Yeah.
is the fault of the government.
Yeah, nothing. They're always like the god. They're always like the saviors of everyone. You know. So and people believe them.
That's kind of crazy that
Yeah.
people would believe them so blindly.
Yeah.
And then, without getting too deeply into it, you have loved ones who are still in Venezuela.
Yeah. A lot.
How are they doing?
They are just surviving.
Yeah.
Surviving Venezuela, like what it is. They've been like working in good positions. They just like, okay, well, so where is this box? Where is this food box? Where is this? I need this box of food, but they don't know about like living a good life, you know? They're just like sleeping.
Wow. Would you ever want to go back?
No.
Change of government. Do you want to go back?
Maybe. If the government's good, I'll go back.
Do you miss home?
I miss my family. I miss mom. I miss brother. Of course, I miss my family. The parties.
Parties.
Yeah. But I just miss them. I don't miss like Venezuela, like the situation.
Yeah.
It just killed me. It just like killed me. Yeah.
Wow. I tend to end interviews on like a happy note. So if there was something positive that you could say, maybe to Venezuelans outside of Venezuela or Venezuelans that are in Venezuela, what do you want to tell them?
Yeah, I have a lot of positive things to say.
Good.
Yeah, so for all the Venezuelans that are there, just remember the beaches and remember like all the good memories you have with your family, because I know Venezuela is all about families and to have a good time. Sí, bueno, para todos los venezolanos que están allá, recuerden todos esos momentos en la playa y tomando ron, escuchando música buena y vacilando con los panas. And yeah, it's just like for all the Venezuelans that are like out of the country, just like, yeah, just remember that you are like unique and you're like just came to conquer. So yeah.
And don't forget about your homeland.
Never. No.
Yeah. Good. Jesus, thank you so much for this interview. I want to check in with you later and see how you're adjusting to life outside of Venezuela.
Yeah, sure. Whenever you want.
Great. Thank you.
What an incredible interview. Imagine we recorded that back in 2020. Since then, millions more Venezuelans have fled. Governments and institutions have postured, and now with Maduro finally facing consequences, we're arguing over whose hands are clean. Here's where I land. International law matters. Due process matters. But outcomes matter too. If your politics can't make sense of a moment where people in Caracas and around the world are celebrating, while commentators in comfortable capitals are condemning, it might be time to ask whether our principles are still attached to human beings. Last week, in our Substack, The Delve Notes, I went deeper into this tension between moral purity and moral responsibility in foreign policy. You'll find the link in the show notes. This season, we stay with questions like these. Who gets to define freedom? What happens when power, faith, and science collide? And how do we keep democracy from becoming a slogan while the wiring rots underneath? Thanks for being back with us for this first episode of Season 9. I'm Chalin, and I'll see you next week on The Delve. The Delve is produced on Chalin, the AI platform we built for podcasters. You can learn more at sellingai.com.